Hello, gentlemen. Just wanted to come on and make a quick video about something. Recently got a hold of Mr. Steve Hoka, and he's interested in doing an interview with me. And I wanted to do a prequel to, if he contacts me, we'll set up a time to do an interview. He wants to discuss narcissism and Hollywood. So I felt like it'd be a good opportunity to bring up narcissism and its relation to the dating scene and what we see going on. One of the biggest problems I see happening in regards to um, not only the culture but the dating scene and women particularly is it all has to do with how they're raised in many cases. Um, One example of this is that if you've ever been friends with a chick who's kind of a tomboy type, she played, with the guys and she was involved in, manly things like sports and hunting or whatever. She hung around a lot of boys and men and kind of excluded herself from the rest of the women. What you typically find is that if you've ever talked to a chick like that, they're a little bit easier to communicate with. Um, it's because they were raised by men, and so what they're doing is they're carrying that mentality of how they were raised, um, and so it's easier to kind of relate because they carry a male mind, or at least were raised by a male mind. But what we see happening today and how modern day women and girls are raised is that, and we see this way, way back, not just in modern time, but we see things like the way that they are uh, told to behave, or the way that they're told how men should behave with them. So, for example, one of the things would be, when they're young, they usually have clothes like little princess dresses for girls. They've got princess this and princess that, and they got the Cinderella movie, and then they got um, all the toys that revolve around princessy stuff, and you're so special, and everybody does everything for you. And so you see this very early on when it comes down to um, being raised around this whole princess mentality. So as you move on, as they get older, it basically just keeps getting reinstilled into their brains. One example would be when they go off to school for the very first time and when they start engaging in the school system. Um, One thing of that would be, the boys are told, when the girl drops her pencil, they pick it up for her. The boys hold the door open for the girls eat first, the girls get in line first, the girls go first. All this you go girl, you go first type of mentality, reinforced even much younger while they're still in the school system. And so this just keeps getting reinstilled, and the boys are taught, that's what you do to get girls' attention is you do things like that, and you hold the door open for them, and you pick up their pencils and all this crap. Um, and then the girls are taught that's just what happens. So what you end up having is the perfect breeding ground for narcissistic personality disorder or narcissistic personality. Um, as they get older, the media and the entertainment and their views of life and whatnot change, mainly due to how the media tries to create this artificial sense of um, how they're these special little snowflakes, and even it's groundwork has been laid, it's been reinforced since birth to act this way, and the media and the culture promote it. Um, and it does not help when you have layer after layer after layer of ways to get attention. And in modern day time, what we see today is this, that women have this constant, because of the iPhone and mainly technology, which has been the biggest, in my opinion, the biggest factor that's caused most of the problems. What it has done is allowed an open channel for them to continuously get attention from Facebook, from Instagram, from Twitter, from dating sites, and all these other places. So they get the constant stream of attention all the time, at any minute, any minute of the day, because the phone and the internet is immediately accessible and instantaneous. So now, really fat and ugly chicks can go on social media and post pictures of themselves and crop out pictures of themselves and filter things and whatnot to make them look more attractive, and they can get just the same amount of attention as an attractive woman would. So this is why you see all these ugly chicks. They can all get all these guys now, right? Because the men have been left out of the picture. They have haven't been told these things. And the whole psychology of how this culture is creating this narcissism. Another problem I see is that women are not told the give and take rule, which basically means, if I do something for you, I want something back in return. It's respect, it's honor. Those are things that are taught by men in sports and in movies and in television shows and whatnot, and hanging around fathers and other men of that sort. So they're taught, I'll do something for you, but you do something for me. I got your back, you got my back. Women are not taught those respectful ideologies. They're basically told, everything is given to you, and, everything is perfectly fine with, being given anything and not doing anything and being respectful. So, narcissism in the dating scene and how that relates is we basically see a group and a generation, I shouldn't even say generation, we see a group of women today that have the ability to get constant 24/7 stream of attention in public, on the internet, and on these other social media sites, and especially the dating scene, because, like I said, they can crop pictures of themselves to make themselves look more attractive, and they've been taught since birth that, they get everything they want, and guys just do that. And when you reinforce that kind of mentality in the culture, then you're generating the best possible conditions to create a narcissistic personality disorder. Steve Hoka mentioned, I can't remember, in one of his interviews or one of his shows or whatnot, talking about that women are not even having sex anymore, even with the attractive guys. My theory on this is because they're narcissistic. They're narcissists. They have narcissistic personality disorder because they've been brought up to be narcissistic since fucking birth, since they were younger. So, this is the end result of that raising and the bringing up of being princessy, and everything's revolves around you, and the media revolves around you, and everything is geared towards this, right? And it's perpetuated in the culture. So what we see in the dating scene and what we see in general with all this narcissism is pure mental illness. What you're dealing with women today in the modern day culture is a bunch of mentally insane and mentally ill individuals. Mentally ill women who have been raised since birth to be these narcissistic people. So the other aspect to this is that if you have narcissistic personality disorder, you typically don't just have narcissistic personality disorder. You probably also have bipolar disorder and anxiety and all those other things. Because you typically, somebody who's got a mental illness usually has a couple other mental illnesses. That's how it usually works with mentally ill people. It doesn't just stop at narcissism. It usually ends up with narcissism, bipolar, and a multitude of other things. Because when the mind is sick, the mind is sick. It's not just one part sick. It's completely sick. It's ill. So you're dealing with mentally ill women on these dating sites, which is why you should avoid them at all costs. Because you're dealing with psychos. You're dealing with women who are mentally ill. That have not just, might be narcissistic, but are also probably bipolar, manic, bipolar, narcissistic, and in many cases sociopathic. But going back to the point I was saying with what Steve Hoka said, he mentioned that they're not even having sexual relations, even with the most attractive alpha males or whatnot. Well, what do narcissistic people end up doing? They make love to themselves because they're so ingrained. Everything has been pushed so far into their thinking of that they're the special snowflake and everything revolves around them, and that there's these special people. Well, that leads you into, if it's bad enough, which, how they raise these girls today, it's bad. Yeah, you're going to fall in love with yourself, And on top of that, you add in all these fucking sex toys that these women are into. It's an online ability to make money just for rubbing your twat. No, they don't fucking need to have sex. They're getting off just on attention, which is pure fucking narcissism. I've worked with a narcissist before, and this guy was just all about himself, and that's how these people are. They worship themselves. They're just evil. It's evil. It's an evil mental illness. But that's what we see in the modern day dating scene today, which is why I am so against the dating scene today. I refuse to promote it. I refuse to be a part of it, and I tell every guy that I know to get the fuck off of it if you're on it. You're dealing with mentally ill people. When I was on those dating sites like Plenty of Fish and OkCupid and whatnot, I met 3 girls and 2 of them were just completely mentally ill. And this is another thing. This is partly why you see all these false rape accusations and domestic violence against men, is because these women are mentally ill. They're mentally insane, narcissistic. Of course, you tell a person that's been given everything their whole life and that they've been told they're so special, you tell them no. Yeah, they're going to throw a temper tantrum and they're going to get extremely violent due to the mental illnesses that have generated, not just from narcissism, but the byproduct of narcissism, such as bipolar disorder, and in most cases sociopathic and psychopathic traits, because they will go to any length to preserve what they've been taught and what their mental illness of narcissism instills in them, that you need to validate this fake sense of who people say you are, and who you think you are. So we're dealing with a culture and a country of pure mentally ill people, mentally insane, deranged, psychopathic, sociopathic, and every mental illness under the book, all gestating into one. And you combine technology that provides a 24-hour stream of personal attention to your disposal at any minute, any time of the day, then yeah, you're gonna see some mentally fucked up people, and it's definitely not going to help the situation. So the whole point of this is to get people off the dating scene and to get people aware that these women are not to be talked to, they are not to be negotiated with, they are not to be rational with, they are not to be helped, because their mental illness, and whatever mental illness that they're not telling, really could get you in some serious trouble and could get you hurt. Because people that are sick in the head, they're violent. A lot of them can be pretty violent, especially when you tell them reality and not buying into their narcissism like the whole world has done. You're going to be dealing with mentally a wild animal, and you can get attacked. You can get sent to jail for things you didn't do because the culture is allowing this mental illness to run rampant, which just reinforces the mental illness even further. Um, this is why you got to avoid these women, guys. Get off the fucking dating sites. It's done. It's over. You're not going to have any kind of um, response or any kind of respect and a whole bunch of other things. You're just not going to find that in what you're looking for. Because what you're going to be dealing with is a bunch of mentally insane, mentally ill, psychotic women who are narcissistic, probably bipolar, and have anxiety, and on top of that are on some kind of antipsychotic and antidepressive medication, which just turns them even more of a cannonball on the loose. You're really gonna get yourself into trouble. Unfortunately, in our society today, we're dealing with really sick people, and you can't rationalize with someone who's mentally ill. You can't tell somebody who says, you can't convince somebody somebody who thinks that a blue cup is actually red. You can't convince somebody of that. I don't know what's going to be the changing factor in all this. Honestly, I don't think there is a changing factor. I think that this is the end of many things in our culture. This is it. Because when you've allowed things to get this bad, there is something called the point of no return. It does exist, and I think we're far past it, which is why I say, make or break. Get your shit and get out. Meaning, don't waste your time on this. Don't and possibly end up getting yourself in a situation you can't get out of. Because you're really dealing with some sick people. Trust me, I want you to look at women today like they're like mental patients in a psychiatric ward, not maximum security psychiatric ward. They're dangerous, they're violent, they're manipulative, they're psychotic, they're under antidepressive medications. The women of our modern day society today are not fit to be in society. They are not mentally fit to be in our society. They are mental patients, they are ill, and they are not suited to be in a rational society. Our society isn't rational at all, but regardless, these are the kind of people that you'd find in mental institutions. Keep that in mind. You're dealing with mental patients. Do you want to go and fuck a mental patient? You want to go fuck with a mental patient who doesn't know who the fuck they are and that is narcissistic and possibly extremely violent and sociopathic? Do you want to deal with that? Do you think that's cute and fun and that'll get your dick wet? You really want to go and do that? Well, you're going to be dealing with a knife at the end of your throat. It's stupid. The dating game is over. It is done. It's full of mentally deranged and mentally ill people. Plenty of Fish should be called Plenty of fucking mentally ill people. That's what it should be called. Because it's a cage full of psychotic echo chamber of narcissism and perpetualness of mental illness.